Reckoning what's happening, my friend. I'm glad you can make it. Getting a few people now. We can start today's topic because it's one I've been wanting to do for a little while. And we're going to, my plan is to get out to the range and compare pros and cons of the Mini 14 and the AR-15, as you can see right there behind me. The AR is the Springfield St. Victor, and I've had it for a little while, but I haven't shot it that much. I've shot it a few times, and what I'm going to compare is just okay. This is what I want to do. As you can see, the AR has a red dot on it right now. That's what I put on. It's the Hollow Sun 507C, I think, or something like that. But to make the test, my comparison as fair as possible, what I want to do is take off the red dot and use the AR's just iron sights, the peep sights. That way, the Mini can be compared to it, apples to apples as much as possible. So they're both going to be running irons. And I don't even think I've ever shot the AR with the iron sights. They got little pop-up iron sights on them. They're fine. They work. Little peep sights. But I don't think I've ever even shot the AR. I think I just immediately slapped on my scope on it when I got it, and then I swapped out the scope for the red dot. So that's what I want to do, is run both of them side by side and see just which one, just which one I favor. I mean, I have more experience with the Mini, and I don't even think, honestly, I have never done a speed reload with my AR. Because of the ARs, just the layout and stuff like that, I've never had much experience with that type of setup. Most of my experience was just with the Mini and the bolts, kind of running in the front instead of in the behind, instead of in the back like the AR does, the charging handle and stuff like that. So it's always been a little bit weird to me. It's just a training issue. I can get it down, but I'm gonna have to. What I'm gonna try to do is practice a little bit before I start the cameras. Sometimes I like starting the cameras and just showing y'all the raw, horrible process. But this time I think I'm just gonna try to practice a little bit before I turn the cameras on. That way it don't look horrible to everybody. And yes, Dan, they are the same barrel length. Both of them are 16.5 inches. So they're pretty close on that. I will say right now that I have a lot of the green tip 62 grain Winchester. The AR hates it. It will not, it tumbles. And I confirm it. You see the TV right there? Y'all can't see the TV and what's on the TV, but guess who's on the TV right there? The late Paul Harrell. And he was talking about right there in that clip about his early Colt M1 A1 AR, that the twist rate of the early ones did not like the 62 grain, but the A2s that came on after it, they could shoot it okay. I can't remember the twist rate of the Springfield. And really, I'm surprised that the Springfield didn't come with the twist rate that supports 62 grain, because I have a full video of when I first got the gun. I went out there and shot 62 grain. I had a good rest and everything. I had the scope on there at the time. Look, from not 60 yards, that was the grouping that I was getting, and it was just like, are you kidding? So it does not like the 62 grain green tips, at least. Maybe if I tried another 62 grain, it might do something different, but it didn't like the Winchester. Yeah, Jeff, I think it is a 1 in 7 twist, because that's what Paul was saying as well. His first Colt M1 A1, I'm sorry, the M16 A1 had the 1 in 7 twist rate, or 1 in 9. I think the other one was. Yeah. Dan, I think the Mini is a 1 in 9 twist rate, and it shoots the 62 grains okay. Now I do have some 55 grain ammo. So I will try to, I'm going to shoot the 2 different types of 55 grain with my AR. I'm going to find out which one kind of groups a little bit better, and that's the one I'm going to use for the little side-by-side comparison. Okay. And look, I'm not doing some kind of critical accuracy, zero tight group. I'm trying to shoot with the irons on both of them. So I just want to see what kind of group I can get from maybe like 50 to 70 yards with the iron sights. And I'm going to do two things. I am going to get on a rest for a couple shots, but I'm also going to stand up and just free arm, right here, shoulder, and see what I can do, because I want to see which peep system on each gun I like a little bit more. I'll be honest, I don't really love peep sights. I wish the rear was like a little bit more forward, like scout style, because that's what my eye kind of likes. Because to me, when I'm running and gunning, that Mini 14 video I have of me like running around the woods and everything, I found out when I get out of breath and I'm running, the rear sight almost disappears from my eyes completely. Like all I see is the front. And I know they say you're supposed to kind of keep that ring right here and it's kind of supposed to look blurry. Well, it almost disappears completely. Like I can't even see it at all. So, Yakinator, what's up, man? Coyote 43. Okay. Coyote 43 is here. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do, well, thank you, Reckoning. I'm glad you liked that video. That was a fun one to shoot, man. I was worn out at the end of it, but it was still fun. I still like all the footage that came out of it. It was and I shot it over 2 days, as you can tell when I was running. Like I had one outfit on, and then the next scene I was like shooting. I was still running, but I had a different outfit on. I changed outfits and I tried to continue the video, but it was still pretty fun. But yeah, so I'm gonna do a rest. I'm gonna get on a rest. Just do a few shots. I'm not gonna do nothing crazy with this because I want to do the free-handed shooting of both of them, and then we're gonna do the speed reload on each of them as well, and see what I can do on each of them. I only have the 20-round magazines for the Mini though, so it's fine. They're easy to insert in the gun, but I find the AR to be a little bit trickier sometimes. But even though it should be simple, because you just on the Mini it's kind of like an AK. You kind of got to put it in an angle and then rock it into place. But on the AR, you just kind of stick it in there. The only thing that bothers me about the AR when I'm putting them in there is that I don't get the very, very satisfying click when I insert the AR magazines. It goes in there and you might hear just something real small, but there's never that satisfying like click like you hear on AKs and the Mini 14. And that always just like, it's a mental sound that I'm like, okay, it's good. So, but usually the magazine is in there. You just don't get that, that sound or whatever, but I do love the sound. What's something else that y'all would like to see with the two guns? Because I have a plan of what I'm going to do, but just while I have y'all right here, I'd like to hear what type of a little comparison y'all might want to see with both of them. I don't have a whole lot of ammo to test with each of them, so I can't do that's the accuracy thing anyway. That's been done to death. I'm not doing that. I just want to see which one's more comfortable when I'm running and gunning to shoot. That's what I'm going to try to see here. We already know the AR is probably more accurate, but I mean, like, how much more accurate? I don't know. Like, this is in my mind. This is what more accurate is. Mini 14 is probably like this. AR is probably like this. So like that's what I feel like in my mind the accuracy difference between these two guns are. But I don't know. Might be wrong. What's something else that I was gonna do? And I still have the Ruger Ranch 7.62 by 39 video. I've been working on that like anytime I have a chance. Y'all are gonna like that one. I've been enjoying working on that one though, because it's so fun, and I want to take that gun back out there again too. Because even though it's a bolt gun, man, I like bolt guns now. I'm not just a lever gun guy. I like the bolt guns too. In fact, I'd love to get like an old K98 Mauser and go out there and run and gun with that one. I love those old German K98s. Okay, Dan, just a speed magazine change. Try to compare them. I will. That's one thing I haven't planned. I got plenty of them 30 round magazines for the AR. So I'm gonna have to practice that before I turn the video on too. So I'm gonna have to put a little work in on that one. I like the AR, man. I don't have nothing against the AR. Everyone thinks I have something against the AR. I don't have nothing against the AR. They're good guns, and they're just they're solid. They're solid guns. I like them a lot. They go pew pew, and I like it. So I like it. I like every gun that goes pew pew. Okay, again, I can compare triggers. In fact, the triggers are very comparable. The Springfield St. Victor is supposed to have like this enhanced, better than average trigger, but I've pulled both of them. Many don't have a bad trigger at all either. They're very comparable to each other. I wouldn't say one is distinctly better than the other one is. Hey, Chuck, what's on, man? Chuck says, I prefer the Mini 14 for Zombieland, but do have a piston-driven M4 just because. They are both good to go. Just be good with what you have. There it is. It's the same thing Paul Harrell mentions several times. Says, I don't care how good your gun is. If you can't hit anything with it, then it's useless. Yeah, Dan, that's the whole reason why I try to do a lot of Mini 14 content when I can, because I know a lot of y'all do live in. Dan says I live in a semi-communist state, so no AR for me. I know everybody that's pretty much trapped behind enemy lines in a blue state can't use an AR, so y'all have to make the Mini work. And what I just don't understand, I'm in a red state, we can use whatever we want, but I still like the Mini 14 a lot. I don't know where it gets a lot of its hate from, but it's a good gun. Like maybe the older ones that were kind of more inaccurate and stuff like that. I guess it started with them, but people just like to keep hammering that dead horse over and over again. I'm like, why y'all? These guns have been improved and they run good. They're been torture tested. They still run. They're good guns. And I don't know. I think it's because they're so similar to the AR. People just want to bash on them because of the similarities. But to me, that wood right there, that's sexier than that black is all day long. Look at my colors. I like that earthly brown. Sexy. Very sexy. Yeah, so I think that video will be very nice. I'm gonna have to it's gonna take me about 1 or 2 days. I could probably finish it in one day. So I'll gather up my gear on one of these weekends that's coming up and go out there. We got a lot of good weather right now because it's kind of transitioning into fall, and the weather is very nice. So it's shooting time. It's range time, baby. Ripley, what you doing back there? Taking a bath, licking yourself. SLBE says, have you seen the new Mini 14 50th anniversary? That thing looking sweet. Yes, I have. I agree. It is looking very sweet. It was one thing I want to change about my current Mini 14 is I'd like to get the wooden handguard, the heat guard. It's got the plastic black one on there. The black one, it does look pretty good. It don't look that bad, but just to give it that full M14, look, I would like to swap out the plastic with the wooden top. So just to have the full, experience of the M14, which everybody seems to either love or hate as well. I don't understand. They're good guns. What are y'all hating about? But what's funny is that people give the M14 a lot of bad rap. The they'll give the Mini 14 a bad rap, and they'll give the M14 bad rap. But then they'll give all the love to the M1 Garand. And I'm like, it's the same system. It's the same bolt system and everything. So I don't know why that one gets all the love. I mean, it's not exactly the same. The M1 Garand takes the clips on the top and stuff like that, but the bolt system, everything is similar. Dan says, I have put the lighter spring in the trigger on my Mini 14, and I'm probably going to put the side shims on the trigger as well. Side shims. What's the side shims do? I'm familiar with the springs for the lighter trigger, but hey, Blade Motivation Man, I'm happy you can make it. I know I kind of announced the live stream at the last minute, but it wasn't my fault. I didn't know I was going to get off work early. I think the Mini 14 trigger right now is pretty good. Like, I don't feel like the need to. Oh, okay. It takes out the slides, the side slop. Okay. Okay. The first gun, I'm not a trigger snob. I usually just accept whatever the trigger comes, but there's two guns that come to mind where the trigger was kind of like, it could use a little attention. And the first gun that it comes to mind is my Browning BL-22, the current one that I have right now. They always said that the trigger was real heavy on those. And this one that I have right now, it is. It's like an 8-pound, 9-pound trigger or something like that. And what's funny is the BL-22 that I had before that, this one that I have right now, the trigger was fine. It was like 4 pounds or something like that, but it felt like a normal trigger. So I think two things: either somebody shot the garbage out of the first one and that trigger just smooth, kind of lessened over time, which I don't know if that's true or not. You'd have to shoot it a ton, or he just put some lighter springs on the trigger. But I heard the trigger is kind of hard to work on the BL-22. That's why I ain't messed around with it. So that's my only complaint about the trigger on that one. And then the second time, the trigger kind of seemed a little bad. It wasn't the single or the double action. It was the reset of my HK P30L. John Wick's gun, the first movie. It is kind of a long reset. It almost comes all the way out before it resets itself. But again, I'm not mad. I can still shoot that gun fast as I care to, so it's fine. I don't care about it. The shims are really thin that go on the slide top. Okay, that's good. Trying to think what other mod I'd like to do to mine. And really, honestly, I've done most of them. I still would eventually like to put a scope, which I said in one of the streams before this one. I'd still like to put a scope on the Mini and just see what kind of precision I can really get out of it with an optic. Okay, Bloody says, for zombie, a PCC can be good. MP5 for zombie runner and a Ruger 22 for the slow ones can be good. Yeah. I mean, I think I said in an older video when I was discussing the imaginary zombie apocalypse scenario that this is under the discussion that if only a headshot can take down a zombie, like nothing else, wherever you shoot them is not going to work. If a 22 can do the job on the head and take them down, then that's all I would ever use, like for the zombie apocalypse. I know it might not be the greatest thing in the world for regular humans, but if zombies was what we was fighting and only a headshot could do the job, then I'm going to use the 22. That's it. I'm not going to use nothing else. I ain't going to waste no ammo trying to shoot them in the head with anything else. Honestly, I think a 22 also gets a bad rap. Like everyone thinks it's not going to do no damage to you if you get shot. I'm like, bro, take a couple of them in the face and then tell me if it ain't doing no damage to you. In fact, if SHTF, let's just switch from zombie apocalypse to SHTF. If that ever happened, it would be a tough decision not to grab my 22 because I could send 5 shots right to your face very quickly. There's no recoil. So you could pull that trigger, and I've never gotten one before, but if you ever put that binary trigger inside the 1022s, boy, you could really pop off 5 of them real quick. But that's all I would do if I had the 22 and I was actually trying to go against regular humans, is I would only ever try to take face shots with it. I wouldn't even bother with rather the body parts. So, and it's like everyone forgets the main goal here is to never get into the gunfight to begin with. Like, even if you have the better gun, this doesn't mean you're going to win the fight. He could be posted up 300 yards with his snipe gun and get you from there. You'll never even know what's happening. Like what just happened. Yeah, I agree. Bloody Motivation says the quantity of ammo you can carry with you is just insane compared to 9mm or 5.56. I agree. Now, what might still push me in the direction of 9mm or 5.56 is that even if I can't carry as much ammo, I doubt I'm gonna need all the ammo, that I'm gonna shoot. So I'm gonna carry ammo with me, but there's no way I'm not gonna say no way, but there's very little chance that I'm gonna use up all that ammunition to fight. And just think about it this way: if you do happen to need to use up a lot of ammo, your survival chances are going down so fast. If you're having to get into a firefight that much to use that much ammo, you're not gonna last. You're not gonna last. So really, the goal here is to keep as much on you as you can comfortably carry, and just stick and move. Like get out the situation as fast as possible. So I think that's the real goal to this. Yakinator says the girls at the range always want to touch my Mini 14. Really pisses off the AR guys. That's funny. It's a sexy gun. I imagine all the girls would want to touch it. Dan says I put a Vortex Crossfire 2 1x424 scope on my Mini, puts a huge dent in the brass. Mini 14's ejection is crazy. Yes, I agree. I have seen them fly very far. So I don't really care because I don't reload. A lot of people like more than 20 have told me you can fix that ejection, with a certain gas adjustment and stuff like that. But I don't care. I don't care that it ejects the brass 20 feet away. I'm not going to reload. So I prefer the bullet to just be out of there, like get it out there as fast as possible. So it doesn't bother me that it ejects it that far. In fact, if you're shooting and you got an enemy off to the right, you pull the trigger and the brass ejects and hits him in the face. 2 for one shot. 2 for the price of 1. That's funny. Okay, Blade Motion has presented me with a hard question. He says, so you can only keep one long gun and one handgun. What's it gonna be? And I have made a video, I think, about this, but really I think I made it about the handgun. So let's see here. If I can only have one long gun and one handgun, let's see. So that the handgun, I'm going with my HK 2000. I like that gun that much. And I never thought I would choose a polymer gun for this situation, but it's impressed me that much. And what's so good about the HK is to me, it plays the role of a smaller compact gun that I can hide, and it's still at the size that can compete with my full-size guns. It's like I feel like it's still a full-size gun to me, even though it's considered a compact. So I can still hide it well, and I can still shoot it well. So for the handgun, I'm going to choose my HK 2000. And of course, I choose it as soon as they discontinue all of them. For the long gun, that's tough. It's going to be the AR or the Mini 14. It's really my, the gun, the do-it-all gun. It is going to probably be 5.56 of some sort. It's going to be the Mini or the AR. I've done this little fight before with myself, and I usually pick the AR only because I have like 30 magazines for it. and they're cheap. So that's the only reason I really go with the AR over the mini. And I would have to train with the AR to get as proficient as with the mini. But what I like about the mini so much is that it doesn't require the cleaning that the AR does. Now you could probably still go a long time without cleaning the AR and it'd be fine, you know. So while the mini probably needs less cleaning, the AR needs, like, you can still shoot a lot out of it without cleaning it. So I'm gonna say probably the AR at the moment, just because of my magazine situation. If I could get more magazines for my mini, I'm gonna choose the mini. Dan says I have to warn people not to stand right next to me, to the right of me when they shooting the mini. Yeah, I know it flies fast. I know Bloody says, "Damn, I would have thought you would chose the 226, my Sig P226, or the USP." Honestly, that's been my favorite systems this entire time, up until I have discovered the P2000. The USPs and my beloved Sig 226s have been my favorite two platforms. It just shows you how much the P2000 has impressed me, though. And really, but I only not choose the P226 because it's a little bit heavier than both of the HKs, and I would never choose another polymer company to go with in an SHTF situation. Like, HK is the only one I would ever choose. If I couldn't have my HKs, I'm going to go with a metal gun or a steel gun. I'm never going to go with a polymer gun. Not that, you know, they wouldn't work or anything like that. It's just that my own preference is the metal gun. Still think the Sig 226's trigger is like way better than the 2000 or the USPs. I love the smooth, especially my Legion, my 226 Legion. Man, it's got a smooth double action, and the single action is really good. So it's tough. It's just because of the weight. The weight's a little bit more on the 226s, and if I'm gonna have to be moving, you know, you really want to stay as light as possible. Okay, Blaze says, would you pick the P2000 over the P2000 SK? Yes, I like the SK. I have shot it now a couple times. I like it, but it don't have the comfortable factor, you know, grip factor that the P2000 does. The 2000 molds into my hand. I can't explain it, but like, the harder I grip onto the pistol, the webbing right here. So like, okay, so like, you see my fingers? When I'm squeezing the fingers, it's making the web of my hand rise up into the back of the gun, okay, where the grip is at. And for me, that's making recoil management very, like, efficient. Like, the tighter I grip, the more vice like that little part. And usually with my hands, I have like long, skinny fingers. That part of the gun that sits right here is very important, because if it's squared off or it's kind of like misshapen in some kind of way, it digs into my hand and kind of like, it just doesn't feel good. So only certain guns fit inside this little part of my hand right here, and that's the ones that I have the most recoil management of. So with the 2000, I can shoot. It shoots just as soft to me as my P30L and the USP, just because I can get such a good grip on it. So I guess yeah, it's funny. I don't know if it shoots as soft as the USP Expert now, because that's the cream of the crop. But one day I'll go out there and compare all of them, see which one is better. But yes, I would choose the P2000 over the SK. SK is a little bit more concealable and stuff like that, but I'm not going to choose that one over the 2000. Dan says, taking care of bigger game in the end times is problematic. Easier to keep moving when you are dealing with the game. And really, the game is a question, because if there's still plenty of people left in this situation, then everybody's going to be hunting the game. You're not going to be the only one hunting the game. So I think the population of the game is going to go down really fast. And what makes it worse, if you think of this situation as the power is down, there's no electricity, no refrigerator to keep the meat cold. So you're going to kill a deer or whatever, and it's going to go bad really quickly if you don't eat it. So that don't look good. It's not looking good. Chuck says, if one has a 1911, the Blue Wilson buffers and the Blackjack buffers work on the Mini 14 as well. Huh. Okay. Didn't know that. Bloody says, is the trigger as good as the USP Expert or the 226? The trigger is as good as your USP Expert or the 226. Okay, so the 2000 trigger it feels very similar to the P30L, and it feels close to the USPs, but the USPs probably have a little bit lighter single action, but none of them compare with the trigger on the 226 Legion. The 226 Legion has the best trigger out of all of them. First of all, it's a metal trigger, which I prefer. If HK could change anything about their guns, I wish they would give their guns a metal trigger. I don't really like polymer triggers. In fact, I'm quite sure when you pull the trigger and then when you get to the end of the tight spot and you're pulling the rest of the way, the trigger itself is bending. And that contributes to some of that squish that you feel, you don't really get to a hard wall. It kind of breaks like a CZ. My CZ75 is like a squish. It's like you get to the wall that you think, and then it goes a little bit more, and then it finally breaks. There's no distinct wall. My SIG 226 and my Beretta 92s have a distinct wall. It hits a wall, and then it breaks, So it stops your finger, and you pull a little bit more, and it shoots. But the HKs and the CZs, you hit some kind of fake wall, and then you keep pushing, and then it goes off. And I promise it'll surprise you every time. I can't ever okay, I'm going to get to the wall, It's going to be right here. Nope. I can pull a bit more. So that's the difference. But it don't really, when you're shooting, it don't really matter. But just saying that's the difference in the trigger systems. Yeah, Bloody. So yeah, the feeling of the metal triggers always feel better to me as well. They are just more efficient. I don't know why they would just give it a polymer trigger anyways. I feel like that, the rest of HK polymer is probably really good and really solid, but the trigger is really thin. So I don't know why they would take the risk of it breaking or something like that by putting a plastic trigger right there. I know they don't do it to save money because they put all the R&D and money into their pistols that they make. So I don't know. I don't hear about too many triggers breaking on the USPs or anything. So maybe it being a plastic trigger is fine. It'll hold up fine. So might be worrying about nothing. Ekener says, why is the sky blue? Because God loves the infantry. You grunts know. That's funny. Okay, guys. Well, I really hope y'all enjoyed today's stream against the Mini 14 and the AR-15. I'm going to get them out there real soon, and that's going to be one of the mini videos I have coming out. I've been editing a lot of them lately and just kind of getting ready to release a video every week. This one is ready, and then this one, and this one, and this one. It's a consistent schedule, unlike I have been doing. What is that? A fly? Oh, he's going to go down. Okay, guys. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's Friday night. Take care, and I'll see you very soon. Please join me over there on Patreon if you have